Yeah, welcome to another fun day in the city of New York. So I've been on the IRC channel a lot, on the FNet channel. If you're unfamiliar with what I am talking about, go to techsyndicate.com/chat, and there's a web client to get to the FNet channel. And there's also other stuff that talks about it. Anyway, it's all there. You can find your way in there. You can get HexChat or some other random client, depending on what operating system you're on. HexChat will work on everything, but there's several that you can use. Anyway, so the point. I digress. So I've been on there a lot, and there's been a lot of chatter about the Linux, the Linux movement of Tech Syndicate. It's like nobody really paid attention that everybody uses everything anyway. I mean, we all use whatever works. The idea that one of these is better kind of annoys the shit out of me. If you want to look at which one is most user-friendly and which operating system is the most functional for take it out of the box and make it work, you're going to have to go with Apple. Unfortunately, that's what it is. And it even gives you the opportunity to be, have your terminal. And you're going to have the ability to customize some things, but you have to change the way you discuss those changes with the computer. Operates a little differently than Windows, and operates a little differently than Linux, but it's all there. And then we got Windows. Windows, people like to think that it's user-friendly, but it's really not. It's a royal pain in the ass to use all the damn time. It randomly breaks, and when used as directed, it will break itself. When used as directed, Apple will break itself, but it'll fix itself at the same time. So many buses. Holy crap! Welcome to public transportation in New York. Anyway, so Linux has always been, and will always be, a variety of things, because Linux is no one thing. I mean, Lindows, if anybody remembers Lindows, not Windows, but Lindows. It was a very user-friendly operating system. It came pre-installed in computers at Walmart, right up until Microsoft said, consumers are stupid, and they don't know what's going on, and they're going to buy it thinking they're buying Windows, when in all reality they're not. It's bullshit. Blah, and they won the lawsuit, so Windows kind of got pulled from Walmart and flushed down the toilet. I don't even know if you can still use it. I think it turned into Linspire. I think after that it turned into Linspire. I don't know what happened to it after that. I haven't paid attention to it in 7 or 8 years. There are many flavors of Linux. Each flavor all kind of has the same look and feel to it. Some of them have pistachios, some of them have marshmallows, some are minty with some chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. Some have chunks of caramel, and others have pieces of waffle cone embedded in them. I mean, all these different flavors of Linux, all very much the same thing at the core, but they have the ability to build blocks and make it look different and feel different. Now people are like, you're giving Linux a lot of attention by comparison to Apple and Windows. You must love Linux. No, actually, I can't stand any of them, to be honest with you. DOS was a very simple thing. It was a very elegant command line, one character away from disaster at any given moment, and it was terrible. But you had to figure out how to use it to make it work. And then you got Windows 3 or Windows 1, Windows 2, Windows 3, Windows 3.1.1. Then you had Windows for Workgroups. You had Novell. You have Solaris. You have SCO Unix, which turned into SCO Unix. Solaris is completely independent of that. You have BSD, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, NetBSD. And you got Linux kernel and a myriad of different things. I mean, in all reality, I don't know why Stallman is so, angry with Linux. It's GNU Linux. I'm like, Linux is just a kernel. That's fine and dandy, but just because everything runs under a license, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's part of GNU. I mean, is it GNU software if I write it myself but license it under that? Am I signing my software away to Stallman and the Free Software Foundation? I don't know. I'm not a programmer. Maybe I am. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's what happens. But regardless, it sounds like somebody is just really butthurt about what the universe is calling something. I mean, I think he would just be happy that his shit's getting out there. I mean, you've got GNOME, people call it that, and you've got, what else is there? There's GNOME, you have KDE, have all these other wonderful things, all following under the GNU public license, and it's very popular, the GPL. But it hurts things in a couple of places. Like ZFS, for example, it would have been released on Linux under the GPL if the GPL provided them a little bit of a little bit more of what they were looking for, so they end up going with the BSD license. I mean, hell, half of the GNU software that's being preached as GNU, blah, 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 it's all ripped and reprogrammed from BSD stuff anyway, so I don't understand where the issue comes. Anyway, I digress. Point is there's a lot of history in the last 20 years of Linux, and it's open and it's public. The information is open and public. But the information for Windows is only what we tell you. And for Apple, it was like Apple IIe was a really awesome operating system and an awesome computer at the time because it was very simple. It didn't do anything. And then you had the Mac, and the Mac was cool. It reminded me of Xerox. Just saying, it was a lot like Xerox. And then you get all the way up to Mac OS 9, and it was a joke. The thing was falling apart. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. The difference between that and Mac OS 10 was that Steve Jobs kind of took off for a little while and made the next computer system, which was a bastardization of the GNU Hurd, which is HURD, which was a microkernel, and he crossed that with a bunch of code from BSD's kernel and a few other random bits and pieces here and there, and he reconstructed under a new recipe this Mac OS 10 kernel. So Mac and the Apple Mac OS 10 is a microkernel-based system, which means a lot of the stability comes from the fact that regardless of the instability of the applications, they can just be punted and restarted, and it doesn't really affect anything else because everything is at this higher level of computing or something along those lines. Correct me if I'm wrong there. You can throw this to the dogs. I mean, they all have their place in this world. And they all are going to be where they're going to be. There's no one that's better than the others. It's whichever one you have a preference to use. So when I see these threads of why I use Windows, or why I use Linux, or why I'm a Mac fan, and the entire reasoning behind why you are any of those things, or why you do any of those things, is that guy sucks, or that operating system is terrible, or hey, that thing right there is baloney over there because I don't have to do this and this, and this one's... You're no longer talking about why your thing is so great, or why you like it. You're talking about why the other guy sucks, and in all reality, you just sound like a bunch of United States politician ad campaigns.